Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest yet again. I'm Tom.
Hey there, Tom. I'm Stephanie.
And today we're going to be talking about a sport called bungee jumping. This is kind of an extreme sport. It's not really competitive, not like football or baseball or basketball or sports like that.
No teams?
Not that I know of.
No.
This is basically done by one person at a time just for the thrill. And you want, of course, to have the thrill of a lifetime when you do bungee jumping. I have seen bungee jumping done here in Taiwan, but that was many, many years ago.
Where was it, Tom?
It was actually out in Wulai. There's a very tall bridge there, and some people were doing bungee jumping off the bridge there, but it was illegal, so it wasn't long before the police came out there and put a sign there and said, no bungee jumping. They didn't want anybody to do that there, and I haven't really seen anybody do it since then, but maybe it's around somewhere.
I haven't seen it here in Taiwan, but I've watched enough on TV and on video. I've never seen it live, but I've watched enough to make me think that I'll never do this. It's so scary looking. But a lot of people like these thrilling sports. They like to take risks and chances because it gets their blood pumping, gives them that adrenaline rush that makes them feel alive, they say. So we're going to go ahead and read through today's lesson, and then we'll be back to talk about bungee jumping.
Are you suffering from boredom? Try bungee jumping. It involves jumping headfirst from a tall structure. This could be a building, crane, or bridge. Of course, before you jump, an elastic cord is secured to your feet so you can bounce back. Though it may seem terrifying, bungee jumping has become widely popular with adrenaline junkies. But where did it start? Bungee jumping comes from Vanuatu. According to legend, a woman ran away from her marriage. Pursued by her husband, she fled into the jungle and scrambled up a tree. There she tied a vine to her ankle. She jumped, but the vine kept her unharmed. Her husband, who hadn't attached the vital vine, fell to his death. However, it wasn't the people of Vanuatu who gave the sport its popular name. The word bungee was first used in reference to jumping by the Oxford University Dangerous Sports Club in the late 1970s. It's a word from the West Country dialect of English, meaning anything thick and squat. It was New Zealander A.J. Hackett who made bungee jumping mainstream. He created a strong, stretchy cord, using it for his first jump in 1986. At this time, bungee jumping wasn't legal. Television New Zealand, a national television network, even had to warn people not to jump from bridges. However, this publicity had the opposite effect and got more people interested in bungee jumping. Over time, bungee jumpers moved away from using a parachute harness in favor of an ankle tie. This let them jump head first. The first legal commercial bungee jump site opened in 1988 in Ohakune, New Zealand. This later became a permanent operation at Kawarau Gorge Suspension Bridge in Queenstown. Today, Queenstown is known as a center of extreme sports and is the perfect place to give bungee jumping a try.
Okay, guys, let's dive in. We're talking about an extreme sport called bungee jumping. Another type of extreme sport would be skydiving. Anything that you do that you are potentially taking your life in your hands, in your own hands, meaning you probably have the opportunity to die doing one of these sports, but some people love this kind of thing. I know people who snow ski, who love to go on those diamond trails, the hardest ones, and then some that go off the trail entirely and ski on fresh snow. And if you're in really high mountainous areas, there's a chance there might be an avalanche, which just means a lot of snow falls at the same time. It can bury skiers, and they can die that way too. But a lot of people just live for the thrill of certain sports. That's in our title too, thrill. A thrill is just that sudden feeling of excitement and pleasure that people get from doing something. It could be riding the roller coaster. It could be singing in front of a large audience. It could be hitting a home run in front of your high school friends. It could be a lot of different things, but everyone loves that thrill that we get. It makes you feel good.
Something really exciting that makes you feel like you're really living. You're glad you're alive, and it's like the peak of your life. So yes, indeed, if you try bungee jumping, it may be the most exciting thing you've ever done. So that's why we're describing it as the thrill of a lifetime. And here's the question we start the article with. Are you suffering from boredom? Boredom is the state of being bored. Your life is not exciting. You don't know what to do. You're sitting around doing nothing. You can feel quite bored during long holidays, for example, where you don't really know what to do with yourself and the weather is bad and it's cold and it's raining. So, hey, you might suffer from boredom. Gee, I want some excitement. I've been sitting around doing nothing for so long. I feel bored.
We'll mention again the typical mistake that new English learners make sometimes is saying that I'm boring instead of saying I'm bored. So if you're bored, something's really boring, you say I'm bored. Don't say you're boring. Don't say I'm boring because you're actually, criticizing yourself. You don't want people to think that you're boring, but an activity could be boring and you could suffer from boredom. That happens sometimes during the summer, too. Kids run out of things to do, and so they say, oh, I hate this. It's so boring. Well, some people figure, why not try something new? So here's our writer's suggestion. Maybe you want to try bungee jumping. I don't suggest this activity for kids at all. You need to be an adult and understand what you're actually doing. If you undertake this particular sport, it could either kill you or hurt you badly if you do it wrong. So it involves jumping head first from a tall structure. That could be a bridge, a mountain. That's usually the two places I think of when I see bungee jumping. Now, if it involves something, it means you need some things to participate with. Maybe it involves equipment. Maybe it involves a big rope. We're going to talk about what that bungee jumping rope looks like. But it could involve a lot of things. So it's just the things that you need to include as a part of this particular sport. It involves jumping head first. First of all, jumping head first, even from a diving board that's very high, can be scary. But this is diving to the ground, usually. Sometimes they dive over water, of course, as well. I think I would, if I did try bungee jumping, Tom, I would jump to where I would be heading towards water and not just, the ground, solid earth.
Indeed, but of course there is a risk with this sport. Of course, they try to take all the precautions and make it as safe as possible, but accidents do happen, and I'm sure you can find bungee jumping accidents on YouTube somewhere. Someone somewhere has probably posted videos of that. So there is a risk involved. Of course, it involves these things. It has these things. For example, when I had a job at the gas station, it involved waiting on customers, putting gasoline in their cars, selling them various items like candy and drinks and things like that. That's what the job involved. And here you're going to jump head first from a tall structure, such as a tall bridge. And sometimes I guess they use construction cranes and things like that.
Yeah.
That's what they used at the American school many years ago when they had a bungee jumping activity there. But again, that was many, many years ago. I don't know if they still do that. But head first means your head is going first. So some people have difficulty jumping head first into water, for example. Most people jump in feet first. Because it's safer that way. If you want to dive into the water, of course, you have to dive head first or with your arms outstretched first. And, of course, when you do bungee jumping, you will jump head first from a tall structure. I guess that makes it more exciting.
Just so you know, guys, a crane is something that is used in construction typically. especially if you live in a large apartment building and someone wants to move maybe a big piano into their apartment. Sometimes they will use a crane to lift that piano through a window if it's large enough. Yeah, this sounds dangerous though. So that tall structure could be one of those three things. Of course, before you jump, you need an elastic cord that's secured to your feet so you can bounce back. Yeah, that's part of the whole fun of it, is you not just go down, you bounce up and go down again, and bounce up and go down again. So you're bouncing for a while. That elastic cord is actually kind of like a rubber band with nylon around it, and so it does bounce, but you need to make sure that cord is shorter than the ground. You don't want to be hitting your head on the ground as you bounce.
That would cause injury or death.
That would definitely not be a good thing. Probably would cause death. Though it may seem terrifying, and it does to me, bungee jumping has become wildly popular with adrenaline junkies. If you're a junkie, you like typical things. We used this word a long time ago, decades ago, to talk about people who took drugs, illegal drugs, and they got hooked on those drugs like heroin or cocaine or something. And now we've kind of moved it to talk about other things. You can be a shopping junkie. You could be an adrenaline junkie. Adrenaline is that hormone that goes through your body that makes your body speed up. Usually you have this rush of adrenaline if you're afraid of something, or you're excited about something, or you see someone you love. All those things can make your adrenaline rush.
Okay, so that's a fair introduction to bungee jumping, and we'll talk some more about it in just a couple of seconds, but we're going to take a break right now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, 我是派老师。今天讲解的是5月份杂志5月30号 Unit 15 Bungee Jumping The Thrill of a Lifetime。这个单元是文意选填的练习题，而文章内容相当紧张刺激。不晓得各位同学有没有试过 Bungee Jumping， 也就是高空弹跳。那在港澳地区呢，有一些同学会把它称之为笨猪跳。那其实是相当紧张刺激的。好 ，Without further ado， 我们来进行解题。不过在主题解说之前，老师要提醒大家，答题的时候要先看有哪些选项可以选，先大致把选项的词性标出来。虽然有一些词性，有一些字不止一种词性，不过我们根据句子结构可以判断这一题空格应该填入什么词性的单字，再去根据文寓意来做筛选，会比较有效率哦。好，我们现在一起来解题。请看第一题 ，It involved jumping headfirst from a tall 空格。在主词位置的代名词 it 代替的是前一句的 bungee jumping 高空弹跳。高空弹跳要头部朝下从高的空格往下跳。在介系词 from 后面需要有个名词。再根据前后文，第一题正确答案是 I structure。整句话的意思是高空弹跳要头部朝下，从高的建筑结构往下跳。再来，请同学看一下后面的句子 This could be a building, crane or bridge 这个结构可能是高楼、起重机或是桥梁。接着我们解第二题，当然在跳之前会有一捆空格，什么样的绳索系在你脚上，好让你反弹回来。我们需要找一个可以修饰绳索的形容词，所以第二题正确答案选 B elastic， 表示这是一条有弹力的绳子。再来第三题，虽然可能看起来很空格，高空弹跳早就广受肾上腺素成瘾者喜爱。谁是肾上腺素成瘾者啊？就是喜欢追求刺激的人。在 seems 看似这个不及物动词后面要找个形容词当主词补语，补充说明高空弹跳这项活动。所以第三题答案选 C terrifying， 表示虽然看起来吓死人，但高空弹跳早已大受追求刺激人士的热爱。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. We're talking about bungee jumping, the thrill of a lifetime. And we started out by describing what that sport really is, and it's an extreme sport. You need an elastic cord that's secured or tied to your feet. If you secure something to something else, it just means it's attached strongly, so it's not going to just become loose. It's very secure. Here, this is actually being used as a verb, I believe. It's secured to your feet. You can also use secure as an adjective. Oh, my apartment is very secure. I have a doorman. I have an alarm that goes off if someone opens my door. So you can be secure. Maybe you feel very secure in your job. You do a good job. The boss likes you. You have a lot of confidence. You can feel secure that way. But here, it's being used as a verb to talk about making something fixed or fastened to something else so it doesn't just come off or get lost.
Okay, so let's talk about the history of bungee jumping. Bungee jumping comes from Vanuatu. That is an island country in the South Pacific. According to legend, a woman ran away from her marriage. So she was having a bad marriage and she ran away from her abusive husband, but pursued by her husband, she fled into the jungle and scrambled up a tree. So here we've got the verb to pursue. That just means somebody chases after somebody or something. You might be pursued by the enemy if you're in a battle or something. They may be chasing after you to kill you. So her husband was pursuing her. He was chasing her, so she escaped. She fled into the jungle where there were lots of trees, and then she scrambled up a tree, which means she hurriedly climbed up a tree to get away from him.
And when we use that verb scramble, it's usually with this idea that someone's doing it very fast, as Tom said, and not very smoothly or gracefully. It's kind of clumsy as they move into a new position. So she was trying to get away from this bad husband, so she climbed up the tree, scrambled up really fast. And once she was there, so we see the sentence there, and what it means is up. When she's up a tree, she tied a vine to her ankle. Now, if you've seen jungle movies, you know that who's the jungle guy? Oh,
Tarzan.
Tarzan. You can tell I would never make a good Tarzan with that. Oh, but he would swing through the jungle on vines, which are very secure, very safe, I guess. They don't break easily. Well, she jumped once she had tied a vine to her ankle, but the vine kept her unharmed. She must have bounced around for a while. Her husband, however, who was following her, chasing her, he hadn't attached the vital vine and he fell to his death. So before he could get a vine tied to his ankle, he fell from the tree. So I'm not sad about that, Tom. He sounds like a bad husband. So if you attach something to something else, it's also a way to secure something to something else. You can attach, if you're emailing somebody, you can attach a document by putting that document with your email. You can attach something to anything just by fastening it with something else or affixing something to something else. So she was lucky her husband didn't have a chance, I guess, to attach the vine to his own ankle. Vital means essential, absolutely crucial. You need it. I could say that oxygen and water are vital to to our survival as human beings. We need food too.
Yep, so that's where bungee jumping came from, and I should say that on the island of Pentecost, or Pentecost Island in Vanuatu, they have an ancient tradition where young men jump off of platforms with vines attached to their ankles. It's a kind of a test of courage for them so they can pass into manhood, and I guess these people on this island are kind of angry at the New Zealand guy, which we'll get into in a second, for kind of stealing their idea, basically.
Stealing their thunder.
Exactly. So I should mention that. That's a possible origin of bungee jumping as well. So maybe they should get the credit for that. But in any case, that's what we're going to say here. It's based on this ancient legend of a woman trying to get away from her husband, and she jumped with a vine attached to her foot. However, it wasn't the people of Vanuatu who gave the sport its popular name. Yeah, they did not call this bungee jumping. I think they call it land diving, actually, in English. But the word bungee was first used in reference to jumping by the Oxford University Dangerous Sports Club in the late 1970s. So in the late 1970s, this word came from somewhere in England, and bungee was used in reference to jumping. If it's in reference to something, that's what it refers to. That's what it's talking about.
Yeah, and the word is from the West Country dialect of English. I'm not from the UK, so I'm not even sure where that is, but it means anything thick and squat. You guys know what squatting is because a lot of you squat from the time you're little kids. Americans don't squat very well, I must say. Moving on, it was New Zealander A.J. Hackett who made bungee jumping mainstream, or popular, you could say. More and more people know about it. So he created a strong, stretchy cord. That's that rope we've been talking about. And he used it for the first jump he did in 1986. I remember this. At this time, bungee jumping wasn't legal. But, you know, just because something's illegal doesn't mean people won't try it. So Television New Zealand, it's a national television network. They even had to warn people not to jump from bridges. Of course, once you give people an idea, what do? They do it. So, however, the publicity that this caused had the opposite effect and got more people interested in bungee jumping.
Right, so of course, publicity is what you want if you want people to know about your idea. Of course, the Oscars, those are great publicity for actors and actresses so people can see them and start going to their movies and stuff like that. It's good publicity, etc., etc. And of course, this does happen sometimes. A couple months ago, there was this controversy about the graphic novel Mouse. M-A-U-S, Mouse. It was about the Holocaust. Somebody didn't like it, so it received publicity, and I'm sure the publisher has experienced increased sales as a result of that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of had the opposite effect here. But in any case here, we've got more people interested in bungee jumping because of that TV program or that TV network in New Zealand saying, hey, don't jump from bridges, don't do bungee jumpings. We're going to do what we want to. And everybody else decided to do that. And as you know, New Zealanders can be pretty radical and they can come up with lots of new ideas for things to do in the great outdoors. So over time, bungee jumpers moved away from using a parachute harness in favor of an ankle tie. A harness is something you wear on your body in order to attach yourself to something. If you're going to try to get out of a burning building, you might attach yourself to a harness to use those ropes they sometimes put in buildings in case of fire. You know, attach yourself to this and you can leave the building, so you have to attach this to your body. And yes, if you're going to jump out of an airplane, you will attach a parachute harness to your body so that the parachute can connect to your body and you don't fall to your death.
Yeah, this let them jump head first at this point. So moving to the final paragraph, it says the first legal commercial bungee jump site opened in 1988 in New Zealand in a particular area. I don't know how to say that. I think we said Oahu.
I said Ohakune. That was
Ohakune.
Yeah.
If it's legal, you know it's not against the law. You won't be arrested. If it's commercial, it means other people have opened this particular site as a business site, so you have to pay money to use this particular site. A site is just a place or an area of ground where a particular event or activity is taking place, or maybe a town has a monument they have put up that tourists and other people can go and see that site. A tourist site, we use that a lot. This later became a permanent operation at the Kawarau Kawarau Gorge Suspension Bridge in Queenstown. We are not from this area, so we're not sure how you officially say that. So today, Queenstown is known as the center of extreme sports. And it's the perfect place to give bungee jumping a try. Actually, it's a beautiful area of the world if you get a chance to go.
Certainly. And, of course, New Zealand is a paradise for people who love the great outdoors. If you like that sort of stuff, head to New Zealand and you can do some bungee jumping there. And I'm not sure of the situation here in Taiwan regarding bungee jumping. Like I said, I have seen it before, but I think people were doing it illegally. And I don't know where you can do it legally here in Taiwan. Do some research. I'm sure you can find some information online. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
接着，请看第二段，高空弹跳的发源地是南太平洋国家万纳度。接着第4题，当地有个传说，有位女子空格，她的婚姻。这个句子没有动词，又是传说。我们要找过去式的动词，所以答案选 G, ran away from， 表示有位女子想要逃离婚姻。然后是第5题，她的丈夫在后面追着她跑，她空格从林爬上了一棵树。对等连接词 and 前后两边词性对等，后面是 scramble 动词过去式，所以第5题选 E, flood into， 表示她逃进了丛林里，爬到树上去。接着第6题，在树上，他把一根藤蔓系在脚踝上，跳了下去。不过这根藤蔓让他空格。在 keep 保持这个动词和所接受的受词 her 后面需要找一个形容词当受词补语。补充说明 her 这个 she 的受格，女性的她的状态，所以第6题选 H unharmed， 表示树藤拉住他，让他毫发无伤。再来第7题，但是并不是万纳度人给了这项运动广为人知的空格。Gave 授予动词后面需要2个名词当受词，除了 the sport 之外，还需要一个名词。所以第7题答案选 A, name， 表示并不是万纳度人把这项运动名为 bungee jumping。好，我们看到第4段，紧接着第8题是纽西兰 A.J. Hackett 是高空弹跳空格。本空格可以填形容词或名词当 bungee jumping 的受词补语，所以第8题答案选 F, mainstream， 表示是纽西兰人 A.J. Hackett 使高空弹跳成为主流。他在西元1986年开发出强而有力又有弹性的绳索，并在第1次跳跃当中使用。当时高空弹跳在纽西兰并不合法，电视台甚至警告大众不要从桥上往下跳。接着请看第9题，不过这样的宣导却有空格什么样的效果，让更多人对高空弹跳产生兴趣？我们需要找个形容词修饰 effect， 所以第9题答案选J, opposite， 表示电视台的警告有反效果，适得其反。最后第10题，现今 Queenstown 以极限运动的什么出名？是尝试高空弹跳的完美地点。我们需要单数名词放在冠词 a 或 n 之后，作为介系词 as 的受词。所以第10题选 D, center，表示 Queenstown 是著名的极限运动中心。好，以上就是我们针对这10题文意选填所做的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. If you're brave enough, maybe you could check out bungee jumping, but Stephanie and myself are probably not brave enough for this, but
No.
I'm sure we'll gladly watch someone do it.
Sure.
If there's a place to do it. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Thanks for joining us. Please join us again next time. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.